And we are live, guys. Welcome to this week's episode of Reset Live.
Awesome. We've been running around doing some production training. Chris is going to be away from his massive computer, so he's training me how to run the show in his stead as he visits the family in Jersey. So yeah, we're getting a lot of technical deep dives over the past couple of days on this software we got going. So
pressure's on, really.
It really is. I tried it once and it kind of worked, but yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah,
it was interesting to see. What is going on?
But hey, it's a learning process, like anything else.
And it's Wirecast, and Wirecast has the potential to be a hormonal teenager.
It
really
does.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that we're actually live right now because Wirecast, funny you mentioned the hormonal teenager, is showing a big red X through the live stream, which is really weird. Is anybody seeing the stream on the Rethink Everything page?
Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now.
Beautiful.
It seems to be live.
So hormonal teenager also lies. So here we are. What's up? How was everybody's weekend?
It was awesome. Yeah.
Am I just supposed to chime in? Like, can
Yeah,
I?
yeah.
If you want,
We're
we're gonna introduce you in a bit. Yeah.
Let's give
Mine
Jill
was
a quick intro and get going.
Cool. All right. Well, Jill, everybody, this is Jill Stanton. She is a founder of the online community called Screw the 9 to 5. She's co-founder of ScrewThe9to5.com. Her and her husband, Josh, teach unsatisfied webpreneurs how to take their business to the next level and make more money without working more hours. It was during their wedding week. Yeah. It was during their wedding week in 2012 while enjoying the beautiful Costa Rica that they realized that they could help others experience that same level of success and freedom that they created for themselves. And just like that, Screw the 9 to 5 was born. So it's a hyper-supportive, and it very much is, business-building membership community for online entrepreneurs to meet wherever you are with the training, the tools, and the guidance to propel your business forward and actually feel sane. And as Jill says, oh my gosh, I'm actually good at this in the process. So welcome to the show, Jill.
That's Screw You. That's Screw You. What you're talking about there is Screw You. That's our monthly membership community. Screw the 9 to 5 is just the movement in general, but Screw You is the monthly membership where we help people gain their sanity back.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. That's such a good cause.
And as you mentioned, we came up with it on our wedding week, which is probably the only week you're not supposed to work, but we're a bunch of lunatics, and we're like, why not work? And plus,
the gears don't stop turning, right?
Exactly. Plus Costa Rican rum, so that's another thing.
That's awesome.
Well, why is the rum gone? That's the question.
Oh, dude, it's not. I'm just saying that is what prompted the Screw the 9 to 5. That's a good one. Let's see if it's available.
Nice.
What is it about alcohol to bring out really good ideas sometimes?
All the time.
It's awesome.
Unleash the humanity. All right. So how was everybody's week? How was everybody's weekend?
Who's supposed to go first here? I don't understand.
I'm just expecting somebody to chime in. You can jump in if you want. Normally, it's like
doesn't matter. Yeah. It's a free for all.
It is. It's really
cool.
It's really a relaxed dialogue here.
All right, cool. So just to jump in, then my week has been busy. We're in the middle of doing a promotion for Screw You, so I've been doing FB Live broadcasts every day. Dealing with the hormonal teenager that is Wirecast. That's been neat. Up at the cottage, seeing my family, about to go on a cross-country road trip, so things have been busy.
Awesome. How about you, Devin?
That sounds quite hectic. And
it is.
I mean, even if you're just dealing with Wirecast, like that's enough.
And then you throw in all this other shit, and it's like, damn.
Yeah, seriously.
The perfect storm of clusterfuckness.
Well, PJ and I were at an awesome nonprofit event on Friday, which was celebrating giving away 1,300 literacy backpacks to kids in the area that we're from, and that was a blast. We also did salsa class yesterday, which was sweet. So we've been dancing it up and trying to balance life a little bit more, because we've gone really hard at building this and building our other business, which is like a digital marketing agency. So you gotta find that balance sometimes, because when you're screwing the 9 to 5, it seems like it's easy, I leave and get into entrepreneurship because I want more time, but it takes way more time to actually build your own thing. So that's a complete fantasy.
I actually hate when people say it's so easy, just quit your job and it'll all work out. And I'm like, shut the F up.
Right?
That's not how it goes.
No.
Yeah.
It sounds good, at the time when you're like, oh, this is awful, I don't want to sit at this desk anymore, but hey.
Yeah. And then you sit at your desk even longer at home and you feel lonely. And you're
but at least you can get up and go get a glass of wine at 2 p.m. if you need it.
I like this guy. I like this guy. He's onto something. I want to work with him.
Yes, let's do it.
There we
go. I know. What else? What's up with yogurt week, Chris? You're leaving in an hour, aren't you?
I am leaving right after the show. Yeah. So, just so that you guys know, I had to drop the stream for a sec, so we're just coming back into a new link, and Wirecast is being a temperamental teenager. So it's been up and down, and we may need to put out a new link. But anyway, my weekend has been awesome. I recorded a vocalist this past weekend. I have a little recording studio here in my office and in my apartment, which is probably going to need to move out of my office and my apartment soon with the kid. But I recorded somebody this weekend. Haven't done that in years, and I forgot how much I love it. So that was really cool to reconnect with that. Doing a launch for one of my clients this weekend, or this week actually, tomorrow. Basically getting home and doing a launch. So that'll be interesting. And getting ready to go to about 3 family events in the course of 2 weeks. We've got a wedding, we have a baptism for our son, then we have a big family barbecue with I was there last year, and it's really cool. There's infinity pools and bottle service and shit. Yeah, it's really fantastic.
That's the only kind of family event I ever want to go to now. Infinity pools and bottle service.
I haven't had that experience, so.
What is your family event in Vegas? You sound like you have the raddest family.
Let's just say it's an Italian family. It's more on the wife's side.
And can I just quick say, if your feed dropped out, people definitely did not hear mine and Devin's hilarity.
They didn't.
That's true.
But they
Bullshit.
will. But they will.
We got plenty more to come.
It's not going to end, though. You're not done, right? You're not done. They're just getting started. So.
Dudes, I'm just getting warmed up.
There you go.
Yeah. No, my week's been pretty interesting. Devin and I have been... there's definitely someone in our neighborhood who's out to get us. Because recently we did a ton of landscaping, and we had 20 trash bags of dirt and leaves and stuff out in the front yard, and we were waiting to take them all at once to the dump, trying to be practical, not make a lot of runs. And somebody filed a health a complaint with the health department of our city, so we got a notice that we were going to get fined if we didn't get rid of the bags. So we took care of that, and now we're on to Devin's Mustang, which doesn't have what is it? The registration isn't up to date or something?
The registration's goes the inspection sticker that hasn't been updated since last year, because I needed a fuel pump driver module or something. It's an
flux
electronic
capacitor.
Controller. Exactly. It needs a flux capacitor, and there's no more time crystals to buy it. And no, anyway.
All of these jokes, I'm just
Yeah. Oh man, it's just the Back to the Future movie. If you ever see it,
I'm just blanking.
It's fucking crazy.
That's okay.
Anyway,
so, someone's out to get us.
Yeah, and they keep fucking reporting us for stupid things. Anyway,
but 2 steps forward.
They're jealous of your salsa abilities now.
They really
That's
are.
exactly what it is.
That could be the case. We're out in the backyard now, practicing. So
There it is. I think Devin does.
Barefoot salsa.
I think Devin does.
Anyone
salsa.
in the neighborhood wants to join. It's when do we do it? No, there's no set time yet. We can make one.
Yeah.
Just look for
Anytime
the
you want to come,
Salsa.
we'll salsa.
There you go. Well,
sweet. All
so
right, let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get into it. Jill, you and I have spoken before. I think you have a really interesting story. Can you tell us a bit about who you are, your journey, and how you came to do Screw the 9 to 5 beyond, wedding night revelations?
Which could sound so racy in so many ways, but it was so much more tamer than how you just made it sound. So Josh and I started our business together back in 2012, and really, I mean, both of us had previous businesses that we were just each feeling a little disenchanted by. And they just weren't lighting us up. They felt more like jobs. And so we were trying to rack our brain, what's the next move for us? And we realized, well, why don't we give this a test? Why don't we try building a business together and see how that goes? So we started a affiliate business. So we had a network of 30 different affiliate sites. And our first one was a skincare site. Our second one was a beauty site. So it was hilarious because Josh was doing ridiculous skincare reviews. And if you were to ever go to the old site, we've sold it since then, but you would see him doing he would kill me for admitting that live, actually. I should resurface that video one day. But yeah, so we got started, we built up this affiliate business, and towards the end of the year of 2012, when our wedding was, we started getting a lot of questions from just people in our offline lives wondering, what are you doing? Do you actually make money, or are you working? What's happening? And we were in the process of moving to Thailand after our wedding, and because there's a big digital nomad community out there, a huge hub for online entrepreneurs. And so we wanted a way to share that journey, plus show everyone we weren't crazy and we're actually building something. And so we decided to start up a blog. Essentially, that's what the Screw started as, just a simple blog. And Josh was like, but what should we call it? And I was like, yeah, it needs to have a message around something we believe in, rums. And we're like, screw the 9 to 5. And then we're like, oh my God, is that actually available? Checked it. It was. And I mean, that was that. We registered it, and it just was a slow process because that was in December. We didn't actually launch it till April 2013. And we had no effing clue what we were doing. We had never built a personal brand. So we just spent the next 6-7 months throwing shit at the wall, seeing what stuck, what didn't, cutting what didn't, scaling what did. And back then, not a lot worked. So it was a lot of just cutting stuff. And tried to launch a product, didn't sell one copy of that, ugly cried for a day straight, maybe did a bit of day drinking. But what that allowed us to do was figure out, okay, so we completely built the wrong audience. We're not talking about anything people want to know. So what can we do? And then we realized, why don't we start teaching affiliate marketing, since that's how we built our business. That's how we ended up in Thailand. That's how we have this cool lifestyle. And once we made that decision, things started to snowball. And then from there, we realized, I'm kind of sick of talking about affiliate marketing. I want to talk about bigger shit. And so Screw the 9 to 5 just started gradually becoming more of a movement where we were talking about just general business, how to grow your business online, strategies, tactics, how to get your friends and family to understand what the F you're doing, the mindset drama that comes into the mix, all of that kind of stuff. And then from there, I started the free group, and it just kicked off from there.
So this is really a long-term relationship that you've gotten into with Screw the 9 to 5, not a one-night stand kind of screw. It's
no. No, it's been a long screw.
I love your jokes.
There's so many fun things you can do with that brand.
You really can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been 4 years in the process. And I only feel like we've gotten super, super, super crystal clear, in the last few months, as to what that is, what the mission is, what the purpose is, what we want our business model to look like. And it's just been a 4-year journey of figuring it all out. That's why I'm so vocal about the people who are selling these bullshit ideas that it can all happen overnight. because I feel like that causes a lot of people to spiral into a pit of self-doubt because they're like, or compare themselves to others because they're like, well, this person said that they made 6 figures in 6 months and I can't even build my email list. And so they emotionally implode, and it doesn't have to be that way. Like people could take a more responsible stance about this, be more honest and transparent, and talk about what it really takes. And people would realize, oh, okay, I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing. But again, as we all know, that doesn't sell the courses. And that's mainly what a lot of people are trying to do. So they tell these inflated stories. And that's just my biggest pet peeve right now. So I'm really trying to be as vocal about that as I possibly can.
Yeah, I remember the first video I saw of you, the video where you're like, hey, the group's shutting down and there's a new group. And you just went off in that video. It was hilarious.
Yeah, because I am not a believer in, I mean, vanity numbers don't matter to me. That group has become an echo chamber of bullshit. So it was an easy decision to shut it down because to me, I don't consider myself an internet marketer. What I consider myself is a community builder. And if the main point of a community is to foster connection and engagement, and a group that size has lost the charm, then that's an easy decision. You just move the believers over into a new group where you can hit the reset button.
Oh, nice.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
So did you ever have a 9-to-5? And if you did, like, do you have a 9-to-5 horror story? Like, I think everybody has a 9-to-5 horror story.
Well, I was a bartender for 10 years. So my 9-to-5 was like 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. So I had a bit of a different 9-to-5, but like the horror, oh my God, I have all of the horror stories from bartending for 10 years. I'm just trying to figure out which one is like less indecent.
I
mean, I've sprayed someone with cranberry juice because they were being a real dick. So
I guess that counts.
I've had a few situations, let's say, but yeah, I mean, it was worth it because it brought me to where I am here. And if I'm being honest, it taught me the gift of the gab. And when you're running a community and building a membership site, which is our entire business model, being able to talk to people, and we do a lot of offline stuff, that is a huge strength in our world. Like being able to talk to members, having those conversations, being able to engage a group of people, and foster genuine connections. Like that all was born out of me just learning how to small talk for money. So
that makes a lot of sense. So I wanted to like take a moment there and like kind of expand on that idea and ask like, how do people in a 9-to-5 job kind of see those skills that they're building, like, you know, that ability to see and have small talk as a bartender and be like, oh shit, this applies to this, you know, business? Is it something that you can have the foresight to see, or is it something that you kind of like fell into and saw retroactively, like, oh shit, this skill really did apply, even though I didn't plan it to apply to something else?
I think it's the latter. Well, I think it's probably depends on how self-aware you are, right? Like I didn't realize that until we started building communities. And then I was like, oh, this is so easy because this is what I used to do at the bar, only there's no alcohol or tips involved. But I didn't realize that at the beginning. I was just like the angriest bartender you could ever be served by because I hated it so much. And so I was looking for any way out. So my out was starting a social media agency at the time, or a social media management service for bars and restaurants, I should say. And then as I learned that, also, I guess I should say, before I even quit and before I started that social media business, I had an online TV show. And so that taught me the strength of learning how to, you know, present on camera and write for the web. And again, kick off conversations, market via social media. I just wasn't good at it at that time. And that was like back in 2006, before online TV was even a thing. So it was like way ahead of its time. Now, if that were to happen now, I think it would be a different story. But again, those helped me build skills that I now utilize in our business in a big way. Like this kind of stuff, like I can riff live, whereas it might, just like you guys can, it intimidates a lot of people to be able to just sit on live and not be prepped and not know what kind of questions are coming your way. But when you've had a lot of practice in that, you kind of cut your teeth and build some skills.
Yeah,
Cut your teeth and build some skills. I like that.
That could be a book title.
I believe that if I ever write a book, it should be called Totally Screwed.
I like that a lot.
Yes.
I just think that is a great title.
I will pre-order that for sure.
Great. I've got one reader.
That's what I say. It starts with one, right?
Here I come.
Gary Vee's always bugging out to people about how they get like, oh, I don't, have enough people watching my stuff. And he talks about how he's taken so many interviews, people that have like 17 followers and like 3. And I love his mentality about that. So.
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of people think they have to be so much further ahead than they are. And so they think that the numbers matter, but what really matters is the connection and the engagement. So like I would much rather have 1,000 people watching who are hyper engaged, who are going to comment, who are going to share, who are going to like it, versus 10,000 people who don't really give a shit. Like, what's the point of that? It's just vanity numbers. And that does not fuel your bottom line. So you really want to find the believers, even if it is just 3 in the beginning, even if it is just 17 versus 1,700. Those are the people you need to focus on and love on, because they are the ones who are going to spread the word for you and really build the movement that you're trying to create.
Absolutely.
Right on.
Yeah.
So what are some of like the pain points and some like for the people that are leaving their 9-to-5 and say they join your community or they're doing it on their own? Why is I guess what are the pain points they're experiencing, and why are they choosing now as the time to kind of leave their job?
Honestly, I think a lot of jobs are getting more uncertain. Like that's only going to keep happening and keep happening and keep happening as automation continues to take hold of what's going on. I think that people are just realizing that there's options now. I think that there's, again, a lot of the flashy stories online that people are drawn in by. And I think a lot of people want to be able to call the shots in their own life. Like, how many people feel miserable AF waking up and doing something they hate every day? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people are just sick of that, right? So when you see a lot of people talking about how they built businesses, whether they're 7 figures, 6 figures, some people just want like an easy, hands-off 5-figure business, like a $40,000 a year business to some people is enough, right? Like not everyone wants multi-6-figure, not everyone wants a big team. Some people are like, I'm happy with this. Like I can pay my bills, I can pay my taxes, I can take care of my family, I'm good. So I feel like a lot of people want that control and they're sick of being told what to do. That's what I think, at least.
Yeah. I like that you point out too the distinctions, like people aren't going to start their own business all for the same reason, as much as we do see all those alluring posts of like, 6 figures, 6 months, like you said earlier, but there's a lot of different reasons. And I really like what you said about like, whether it's taking care of your family or like, hey, maybe I need an extra 20 grand a year just for my sweet vacations that I love. Like, so there's a lot of, I like noticing that there's a lot of different reasons why people make that jump.
Well, and not everyone needs to you just have to get clear on what matters to you, right? Like what kind of business do you want? Do you want to run a team? Do you want to do launches? Like, do you want a more hands-off affiliate-based business? Like, what does that look like? I feel like getting clear on that is the first step. And I get that that's hard because you don't know what you don't know in the beginning.
Exactly,
So it can be hard to figure out, well, I don't really know what I want. And so you try a bunch of different things. Like we're on our 3rd business now. I enjoy that process of just figuring it all out. Like the journey itself is the exciting shit, not just the like in the thick of it, trying to figure it all out and winning all the time,
I wasn't planning to ask this, but since you just went there, it just sparked something for me, because we're talking about the difficulties of, I don't want to say difficulties, but the journey of building that business or consecutive businesses, whatever, it doesn't matter. But can you speak to like the parallel between the growing pains of that business as well as the growing pains of you as an individual and your own personal development? Because I find that to be fascinating.
Where do I start? Let's talk about the feels. Okay, so the pains of growing a business in general, I feel like let's keep it real, it's getting super noisy online right now, especially in my space, like in the online business space. I feel like it is noisy AF out there, and there are so many competing offers, competing strategies, competing ideas and opinions. It's hard for a lot of people to wade through what they should actually focus on. And as an entrepreneur yourself, you're thinking, I had this moment yesterday, actually. Someone was telling me about this person who had this offer, and I was like, damn, maybe I missed the mark and we should have done that. And then it took me like 30 seconds before I came back, and I was like, what am I doing? I'm getting caught in the trap. Come back to what I really want, and then your path is clear. So really being able to identify and get crystal clear on what you want for your life. Like, what is your version of success? Okay, cool. What kind of business facilitates that for you? Okay, so once you have that, okay, who do you need to help you run that? Is it just a one-man show? Do you want to bring a partner in? Do you need a team? Like, do you always want to be working at your desk, or do you want to be more hands-off? Like, really getting clear on that stuff is so key. So we did this. We just came back from Mastermind Talks. I have not shut up about this event. People are starting to get super annoyed with me because I'm just like, at Mastermind Talks, but truly at Mastermind Talks. We met this guy, Cameron Harold, and he wrote the book Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs with Hal Elrod. And he has a exercise in there called the Vivid Vision. That one really helped us out. Like, really go through that vivid vision exercise. That gives you so much clarity around what kind of life do you want to build? What kind of business do you want to build? What is the model that facilitates that kind of stuff? What do you need happening to allow you to build that kind of business, to have that kind of lifestyle, to gain that kind of success? And then from there, you can piece it all together. Now, for the feels and the internal game, a lot of my stuff has been around, I'm a people pleaser. I had really bad boundaries, like really bad boundaries, to the point that when we first built Screw You, it was our only revenue source, right? So we have a sick monthly membership community, which is great because it allows us to have this predictable business where we know what we're going to make and we can reinvest and blah, blah, blah. But at the time, like 2 years ago, I was so stressed that if anyone canceled, well, that's a hit to our revenue. Okay, so how can I make people stick around? Okay, so I need to be a stage 5 clinger so that they never want to leave because they'll never get this kind of support anywhere else. So I was like rewriting people's copy and like having month-long message threads going back and forth, trying to convince people to stay in the game because they get in their own heads too much. Like, my boundaries were just so out of whack. So really figuring out that self-worth issue or that self-worth piece, which is what I think plays into boundaries, and figuring out like how I want to show up as a leader around this community and how I want to kind of drive it forward. That's been the biggest part for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The value conversation is so important for people. I mean, we've had this conversation with a friend that is starting his own business, and he goes into this conversation a lot about like the idea of Walmart and how, you know, kind of typical 9-to-5 jobs. And if you, for example, sit in a job in a typical retail position in any of the, you know, big box stores, or anyone that's ever done retail is, you know, paid very, very low for their time. And if you are in that position for, you know, 5-10 years, you start to associate that amount with the value of you as a person. So like, oh, I'm worth $11.50. And then you go to a new job and you're like, I'm going to ask for 13 because I'm going, you know, I'm going off the walls and I've really moved up.
I'm getting wild here.
Yeah. So like 10 years of, you know, clothing folding experience, I'm definitely worth that extra $1.50. But that's like really what you associate it with. So when you dive into something like entrepreneurship, where you're creating all this value and you're like, what the hell do I price myself at? What are my value, or like, what is my time worth to other people? I think a lot of people get caught up having that, you know, that lack of stability.
For sure.
Well, right. And then you have to value yourself. So no longer is it somebody else telling you your own value, but now that's on you. And that's a huge undertaking. That's a huge unintentional. Yeah, that's a great word for it. Exactly.
One person, I can't remember who said this to me, but it was such a good tweak on it. And then I have to mention this other book this other author who I think from Mastermind Talks, who really rocked my world. So I can't remember who said this, but she said, when we were kind of talking about the pricing around Screw You, and she said, well, what are you open to receiving for it? And I was like, damn, that is a good question. I do not know.
Was she holding a mic and just dropped the mic after that?
Threw it aggressively. She was like, done. Peace. And then the other dude that I wanted to mention is Kevin Dubrowski, and he wrote a book called The Whale Vomit Method. Now that sounds ridiculous, but there's a whole story behind it, but it's around charging premium prices for what you create online. And I just had a huge conversation with him in Toronto the other day, and he just rocked our freaking world around pricing. So if you haven't read that, definitely read that book, because like his whole system and philosophy behind it is like A game.
What's the name of the book again?
The Whale Vomit Method.
Oh, that's the actual name. I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's the name of the book, and there's a whole story as to why that's a big deal. But yeah, it's really good. I just like his philosophy around it all, and he gives you like ways to get clear on what you should price and like the wording and how to figure that out and the value. Yeah, really good. Give it a read.
Very cool. Sounds like some Seth Godin Purple Cow shit too. It's like
he actually referenced Purple Cow in our conversation around this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if we want to get into the commercial, Chris.
We can. I have a question for you though, Jill. Actually, kind of two of them. They're kind of in the same vein. Let's start with. Okay, so this is what we have in our notes, and I think you can run with this.
All right, cool.
Worst boss ever stories.
Who should I pick?
That reaction says it all.
Easily my boss when I was in Australia, Rose. I worked at a restaurant called Sassy, and she was just a nightmare. She was such a biatch. I got my friend a job there, and she was such a bastard that we just used to be such dickheads at work. Like, she would play Madonna's greatest hits, and Emily and I were just we would be the worst. I don't even know how we didn't get fired, because we would just dance around. It was like we were children, because we just hated working for her so much. But at the time I was trying to build up this social media management company. So I didn't want to just screw myself and
no
quit.
pun intended.
Yes. This guy.
This lady.
This guy. He's onto something. But she was a nightmare. So she used to try and make me stand out in front of the restaurant and sell people on why they should come in. And I was just no, Rose, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. And she's like, well, see, when I do it, people really like me because I do it this way. And I was like, no, I'm sure they love you. The thing is, I just don't give a shit. So I don't know. That's probably why you're better at it than I am.
That's perfect.
So she was a nightmare.
That's actually a great segue into this last piece before our break, which is, what's one of the best ways that you can think of to say screw you and quit your 9-to-5?
I love those YouTube videos of where people come in with the song and dance. And it's the whole
we were just talking about that, yeah.
Motown song. I love those. I wish I had the balls to do that kind of stuff. My last shift at a bar in Toronto, the one I had worked at for 5 years, I had a bunch of, this is probably not a good story to tell because it's sounds like
Stop
physical
judging your
abuse.
stories. We're open to receiving all of your stories.
True.
So obviously it was my last shift. So we were all having drinks and all this kind of stuff. And all of my regulars were there. And this one really drunk guy comes up and tries to punch one of my regulars. And I just think I just snapped into action and I slapped him across the face at work in front of my manager. But I didn't know what to do because he was about to punch my regular, who was also, tipsy, shall we say. So yeah, that was probably my best way of ever quitting a job.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you soon. If you're
Yikes.
No, that's okay. If you're just joining us, stay tuned because we have Jill Stanton from Screw You and the Screw the 9-to-5 movement. Now we have that right?
Yes.
Great. On the show with us today. And if you like the show, if you want to support this show, keep it going, head on over to patreon.com/reset live. And that's R3SET live. We have some great programs and incentives for you guys. And see you soon. We'll be right back with you.
My name is Andrew Figueroa. I'm from Irvine, California. I'm a hip-hop artist and theater maker and an arts educator. I I feel like all three of those are kind of like my form. What I'm really interested in doing is understanding about how all these different aspects of the media and your experiences in classrooms from, elementary school into college, as well as your own intimate relationship with your family and your culture can define what you are, and then how you begin to perform that identity. One of the conversations that we're beginning to have on a national level is race, but I think what's lacking from that conversation is like a racialized class discussion, and thinking about how class, economic background really plays a part in how you see yourself and also how others see you. And I think one thing that's really huge for me is understanding how communities of color are taking how media defines, brown and black identity, but then begin to internalize that and then police it back onto our own community. Brown and black people will define a strong identity of what it means to be brown and black in order to gain power, because with that unification comes political power. But what happens with that is now that since they're defining it and kind of boxing in what it means to be like a Latino or Mexican in this country, it doesn't leave room for growth. Since we've been excluded our whole lives in this country, historically, we now want to use those same tools in order to gain power, which is, I think is important, but at the same time sad. I think what I would like to reset is the idea of the United States and how we approach our problems. I want to say, let's reset the, police killings or like the millions of deportations that happen every year, and just the fucking border in general, this idea of land as property that's owned by somebody, and ownership only happening over killing other people, Let's reset the American flag and what that means.
And we are back, guys. Welcome back to Reset Live. If you're just joining us, we have Jill Stanton from Screw the 9 to 5 movement, from the Screw the 9 to 5 movement, on the show with us today, talking about community, the power of community, and this idea of screwing the 9 to 5. So welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So for the people that are just tuning in, Jill, let's tell us a little bit about who your community is for. And let's start there. Who is your community for?
The free one is for, well, I guess both of them, the free and the paid, is for anyone who really wants to build a business online using attention generating strategy. So like content marketing, list building, community building, sales funnels, Facebook Live, that kind of stuff. Anyone who wants to propel a business forward, build a community, build an audience, build a movement, that's what we're all about.
Fantastic. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So why are your members leaving their 9 to 5, and what's driving them to say screw you, as you would say?
Because I think they want some control in their life. They want to call the shots. They're sick of relying on just a paycheck, putting in a request for vacation time. I think they just want to live the life they want to live, not the life they think they have to live. And I think that with jobs becoming more and more uncertain, they kind of want like a safety net, which sounds so crazy to say that entrepreneurship is a safety net, but really, if you can't depend on yourself, who can you depend on? And so I feel like a lot of people are kind of wanting to take back that control and create a legacy for themselves and their families that they're proud of. And so they want to do that through building a sweet business, a profitable business.
Yeah, and I even saw once a statistic that said, if you work for somebody, right, if you have a 9 to 5 and that person fires you, that's 100% of your income. But if you have a business and you lose half your membership base, or you get one client fire you if you're in an agency or whatever, that's not 100% of your income.
Yeah.
So
and the skills you build when you build an online business, they're so transferable, right? So like Josh and I have this conversation. What would we do if the screw just somehow disappeared out of nowhere? Most people would think if that was a job, they'd be like, crap, now I have to go find a new job. Now I have to go apply. It's competitive. What if I don't get it? What happens if the pay isn't good? Well, I have to sell my house.
Well, I need to ask for a $2 raise.
Yeah, $2 an hour raise. Like, whereas entrepreneurs, now we have a skill set that you can use in so many different areas. So we're currently building a second business. We can do that because we've built all of these skills that we've learned through, our first business and doubled down and learned them even harder inside the Screw. So now we have like 2 assets, 2 different ways, so that we're no longer just depending on one. And I feel like that is the biggest advantage of entrepreneurship, is you're building these 6 skills that make you self-reliant and not have to depend on a corporation and whether, you fuel their bottom line that month or not.
It's like kind of the new version of hunting, and, like buying your food at the grocery store, or being able to go out and, make food and farm, and like having that around you, and like you're sustainable. You don't have to worry if somebody, the truck didn't show up at the grocery store one day because the supply chain's gone and all that, blah, 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 whatever. Like you have the ability to be the master of your own destiny.
Yeah. I mean, I would never know how to farm my own food, really, but I'd be freaking screwed.
It's a good analogy for this, yeah.
Totally. I'd be using Amazon Go for sure.
So what have you learned in the process of going through these iterations? Like, what has been the biggest failings of the first iterations of Screw the 9 to 5?
We built a product no one wanted because we assumed we know what they wanted. But we never asked anyone. What? How are you going to sell something if you don't know if people want it? That was our biggest mistake. But it was such a pivotal time in our journey because it allowed us to realize, oh shit, we should have asked people what they wanted. And we probably should have pre-sold it to make sure there was an actual interest for it. And really getting clear on the fact that you have to take the pulse of your audience. Like, don't just talk at them, talk to them. Have a conversation with them. Humanize your business a bit more. You know what I mean? Like, have those conversations, figure out what people are struggling with, figure out what they want, and then create that.
Why do you think it is that we kind of idolize this idea of, these revolutionary jumps, and that's all that entrepreneurship is? Like going from horse and buggy to Henry Ford building the fucking car, and like, Steve Jobs building things and saying, screw feedback. They don't know what they want because they haven't seen it before. It's never existed. So like, why, that's kind of like this idolized view of entrepreneurship and building, an empire. And, people think that they have to do that in order to start a business. Is like, I need to do something completely revolutionary, and there's who am I to do that?
And I mean, there's total exceptions to the rule, clearly, but that's not every single entrepreneur, right? A lot of us are not reinventing the wheel. A lot of us are just taking what's already out there and putting our flavor into it, right? Like, we're just putting our slant on it. So like, we are not the only online education company. We're not the only membership community, but what we do have is one of the most connected, supportive, hyper engaged communities. Like, we've really carved out our zone of genius and applied it to what was already out there to create something truly unique. So I don't think you always have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to get clear on what you want to build, right? And if you are the exception to the rule, then cool, go make the world better. But I don't think that that's everyone.
That's enlightening and really contradictory to the classic belief of like, everybody's the Steve Jobs or everybody's the, solar company.
You need to be, Tesla.
I mean, I was just thinking, I was going to say, like, Elon Musk, I can't imagine that he's sitting there taking the pulse of people saying like, would you guys want electric cars? Because at that time it seems so far-fetched, right? Like, he's starting this new company called Neuralink, which is like brain chips where you'll be able to like transfer memories. What? Do you think if he ever took the pulse of someone and said, do you want me to give you a brain chip where you can transfer memories to people? They'd be like, fuck no.
Let's do some market research, right?
Yeah.
Or the tunnel company he's making. He's making the Boring Company, which is a great fucking name, by the way.
Such a great name. I love that. But like, not everyone follows that path. You know what I mean? So you just gotta do you.
Yeah, and it's like you said earlier, it's knowing yourself. I think that's the biggest takeaway I've heard, like, from this whole thing. It's like knowing what you need to do and pursuing it in order to make yourself happy and feel fulfilled. And you probably don't need to run $1 billion business to do that. And you shouldn't let things get in the way because you think that I can't run $1 billion business.
Yeah, I don't want to run $1 billion business. That's just not something that lights me up. One of my favorite litmus tests for this kind of stuff is it's from Danielle Laporte, and she always says, "Does this feel heavy or light?" Because inside you always know, right? So like, does this feel heavy or light to me? Does it feel heavy or light to do this? Does it feel heavy or light to do this? That's what I go to for everything. When I was trying to figure out, should I shut down my Facebook group or start a new one? I was like, what feels heavy or light? Should I keep this one going? That feels heavy as fuck. Cool. So what's the next step? Do I start a new one or do I burn the whole thing down? It felt lighter to me to start a new one. So boom, that's where I'm going. But that's always my gut check.
That's sweet. I really like that.
Me too. That's really cool.
Because you always know. Deep down, you always know. If you sit there and think about it, you'll always have that feeling, like that little whisper that's like, this feels a little heavy.
Nice.
I think there's a layer of confidence in yourself that you have, like you have to be confident in yourself to make that judgment. Otherwise, you're going to be second guessing yourself the entire way, and you're going to not take action and be paralyzed by, the fear of, it feels lighter to just give it up, but I shouldn't or it feels lighter to quit my job because I hate my fucking job. But that paycheck, our business partner, John, talks a lot about, it was like a crack addiction when he first quit his job, and to go into entrepreneurship, he was terrified. And he tells the story of how he was shaking when he first quit his job. And like that steady paycheck, even though the allure and this idea of going full in on your own venture is really powerful, and especially if you're passionate about it. But that steady paycheck, when you have family and a lifestyle that you expect, it's really addictive.
Yeah. And I don't think you should sacrifice that stuff just because, in the moment you hate it. I think you need to take care of your family and you first before ever just making a rash decision. Like, I know some people love to burn the boats, but if you make a rash decision and you quit before you're actually ready, and you don't have savings, or you don't have a runway, or you don't have a backup plan, or you don't have a business that's already making money, you're going to make decisions out of desperation. And you're going to do things for money that you don't actually like. And then people are going to be able to feel that. Your business is going to feel like a chore, and you're going to hate it. And then you're going to end back up in a job anyways. So like, be smart about it. Like one of our members, Jason Brown, he built a $400,000 a year company while still in his freaking job. He just quit. Because for years I've been like, JB, when are you going to quit, homie? Like, this is ridiculous. You have a multi six-figure business and it's on the side. And he was just like, his whole thing was, I want to make sure that I can run this on the side so that when I do quit, I don't have yet another job. So, I mean, everyone has their own perspective, right? But he wanted to make sure he had that security and that his business was stable before just, he wanted to make sure it wasn't just a flash in a pan, He wanted to make sure he had his shit together so that when he did go to quit, he had this asset that he could rely on.
So how do you create that confidence in people?
I really think that is a internal game, and I think it comes with time. Like, who the hell is super freaking confident their first year? Like, show me one person, and truthfully, who feels like, I got this. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm sorted for life. I'm making internet money. I really think that stuff comes with time and experience. Yeah.
Hell yeah. How do you get people to kind of like, it's just that, hell yeah.
You make a lot of great points.
So how do you get people to like dip their toe into it? What's like the entrepreneurship light or like diet entrepreneurship that people get into? Like, what do you suggest is people's first step into the shallow end of the entrepreneurship pool?
Well, I think only you can make that decision, right? Like, I'm not going to force anyone to go down this road because while I think anyone can be an entrepreneur, I don't think everyone can be an entrepreneur because it takes sacrifice. It's emotional AF. There's ups and downs, there's failures. Like there's a lot to go through. I mean, we're 5 years in and just now I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We've got a handle on this. But for the first 3.5, like I was an emotional mess. I was so stressed. You know, we weren't making the kind of money we're making now. And so I'm never going to tell people that they have to go on this journey. Like I'm not trying to sell the dream. I'm just giving them a place to, I'm just allowing space for people to connect with other entrepreneurs who get them and understand the sacrifices. And then I'm giving them the tools, training, and guidance they need to facilitate that journey. But I ain't trying to convince people that this is the road for them, because I really think that that's an internal game or an internal decision you have to make. But the one thing you need to do is make sure people are actually buying shit in what you think you're going to do. So if you're like, I'm going to create a crafting business for seniors. I don't know. That was so random. I don't know where I came up with that. But like, if that's actually the case, like I'd probably want to do a bit of research and make sure seniors are actually buying things online, B, they're searching for that kind of stuff, and C, there's a market. So you have to do the research and make sure that people actually give a damn about what you want to create before you burn the boats and go all in. And also, let's keep it real. The first business you start is probably not going to be the business you end up with. So like being open and agile and flexible and comfortable with change, that is the biggest part of entrepreneurship, I think. And that's why I think a lot of people can't hack it.
Interesting.
Like, not to be mean, but just being real.
No. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Need reality.
So what's the role with as far as in your experience using social media to engage with people and to build that community and that movement, and what's the role that social media plays, or does it need to play that role?
Well, for me, it was just allowing me to have a two-way conversation. Like with email lists and sending out emails, you're talking at people, right? And I wanted a way to talk to people. I just wanted a way to actually find out what they wanted, what they were struggling with, the words they were using, the emotions they were feeling. Like I was looking for insight and intel into what our audience wanted. So it was a no-brainer for me to start a Facebook group. Like I said, I'm a stage 5 clinger and a nurturer. So I always want to have a finger on the pulse of what people in our space or our audience want, how they're responding to stuff that we're doing. I wanted to facilitate that conversation. So for me, that was a no-brainer. But other than that, like outside of our Facebook page and our group, like I don't really mess with too much social media. Like I find it damn near impossible to be consistent with my Instagram. I try to be, but also I'm just like, I'm over here instead.
Yeah, that's real.
And just figuring out what that looks like to you. But for me, it was really wanting to have a conversation to humanize the brand. Like that's one thing, Josh, and if we could boil down our business model to like one word, it would be connection. Like how do we facilitate connection? For me, communities is the way to do that, and two-way conversations. So it was a no-brainer once we figured that out.
So do you think that is what helps you monetize the community, is having that connection with them? Or is there some other magic sauce that you...
No. I would actually say that, well, I'm talking about, okay, so the free group was what I started to have that conversation. That's why I facilitated that space. Now for Screw You, that started after my free group. So Screw You used to be a one-off digital product living in launch mode, and we were like, bleh, we hate this. And so then we transferred it or kind of overhauled it into a monthly membership community. So now, I mean, connection is a very intangible thing to sell. Like, how do you sell connection? Like, we just have a really connected community. They're like, yeah, okay, sure. But having those case studies, having members do a lot of the talking for you, like a lot of our members will go into our free group and talk about Screw You. I'm not asking them to. We don't have an affiliate program for it. It's just they feel lit up by it that they want to share it. And so a lot of the connection, or a lot of the main reason people stay is the connection that we've facilitated inside the U, but that has taken time. And again, it's taken us constantly reinvesting into it, constantly being present, keeping our finger on the pulse, and building a team that facilitates that kind of space so that it's not always just Josh and I. So like we call him our community dude. His name is Luke Benjamin Thomas, but LBT. LBT is our community dude. So whenever someone joins, he hops on a one-on-one call with them to find out more about them, what their business is all about, helps them get integrated into the community, because that's the biggest thing with membership sites is integration, and allows them, and really tries to make quality, smart connections to them and existing members that he feels are aligned with what that person is coming in for. So it's a high touch experience, but for us, that is what facilitates the connection, which is what keeps people in. Because with content, like if you're going to have a content-based membership, A, that feels like a job, constantly creating content. No, thank you. And C, if it doesn't resonate with what someone needs that month, why would they stay? Whereas if they feel like they belong somewhere, that matters to people. You know, like someone just posted, "You guys really are my extended family." And I was like, that's why people stay. Because they feel like they belong there. They feel like they have a community of people who get them that a lot of people in their offline lives don't get. And like, why would you ever give that up, you know, if it matters to you? So that's really what we try to facilitate and keep going.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really challenging. I like that you mentioned integration, and integration being this like key part, because I think anybody, like there's tons of communities out there, but what I've seen that's different, even in the free group, is there's still a sense of coming into it, right? There's still a feeling that I'm entering into something that's really powerful rather than just joining another group.
Totally. I mean, yeah, I actually think it's unlike any other group. I think it's truly unique inside Screw You. But the precursor to that is the free group, which is why I put a lot of time, energy, and resources into that, because I want to kind of set the stage for like an even more curated, connected community on the paid side of things.
Wow.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the triumphs and the challenges of actually embracing that mentality, right? We've talked a lot about the community. We've talked a lot about the challenges that you face, a lot of your crazy bar stories. But like we also talked about like the tumult of that transition, and how for 3 years you were all over the place emotionally, and there was a lot going on. So what do you think some of the biggest challenges, and we talked a little bit about this, but the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs who leave the 9-to-5 face once they leave?
Self-doubt, time management, self-motivation, failure, friends and family not getting it. And so they ask things like, "Are you still working?" Or "What do you actually do for money?" Like that kind of stuff. I understand why they ask that, but it subtly undermines what we're all trying to do, right? And it makes people feel like shit, because they're like, "Well, my family doesn't get it, or my friends don't really get it." And so they like never want to hear about your business, because it challenges their own comfort zones. And when you're in a 9-to-5, that is the epitome of a comfort zone, I think. And not a lot of people are comfortable with change the way entrepreneurs are. Like we are a different kind of breed, you know, like we are very comfortable. I feel like I am a different person to who I was like 2 months ago, because I've had mad clarity in that time. We got even more clear on our business model. Things have started to pick up inside Screw You. Like I feel like a different person. If I were to say that to someone who's in a 9-to-5 and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a different person to who I was 2 months ago," they're like, "Shut up. No, you're not. You're exactly the same." And you're like, no, I'm actually not. And so I think that's the biggest challenge for a lot of people making that leap, is the relationships with the people in their offline lives, which is, again, why I think community is so important to have.
Very necessary.
Yeah, really, like, because that individual or like the physical connections that you generally have in like the family, like they're generally not as supportive in the entrepreneurship journey, because they haven't gone through it. You need to have that entrepreneur support network that, you know, Screw You offers, or, you know, something similar.
Yeah. Or even a free group, like a really connected free group. Like it doesn't have to be Screw You. Screw You might not be the right fit for you. We're mad protective over who gets in there. But any kind of community, like we used to be a part of a community called the Dynamite Circle, which is for digital nomads. We loved it. We stayed in there for 3 years. So whatever you're looking for, just look for the communities in your space, people who are aligned with what you believe in and what you want, and join those and get involved.
That's exactly right. Like I've joined a number of groups just to feel out that energy, like you say, right? And to get that feeling for who they are and what they are and what they're about and what people want and what the emotions are that's going on. And it doesn't even need to be your group. So
yeah, no, just one that works for you.
Immersion.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that is.
Go ahead, man.
I was gonna. I do think I'm just thinking more on the conversation about trying to tell your friends or your offline world about, you know, that you're quitting your job or you're starting your own business. And you know, I can definitely relate to that kind of the series of things we covered. Like, one, them not wanting to face their own, you know, own shit, honestly, about like the comfort that they're in, and have to like think, well, what if I left the job? You know, I want to create more decision fatigue for my 9-to-5ers out there. You know, and then just trying to find more people that can connect with what you're going through, and that I'm just walking that conversation through in my head right now. It's
so vital. It really is. Otherwise you feel lonely and so isolated, and where's the joy in that?
Exactly. Yeah, the solopreneur, or you know, the one-man shop kind of symptom. Exactly.
I mean, speaking as somebody from a small community, Pittsfield, we have like almost 35,000 people. There's very few millennial entrepreneurs.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's like there's fucking nobody, honestly. Like, so we go to all these business networking events, and we'll be the youngest person in the room by like 15 years at least. And it's like, I mean, they're all amazed. We're not even that young, you know, we're 28. You know, Chris is 30. So like but in this community, it's like, where the hell is anybody? We can't have conversations with any of our peers about these business problems that we're going through. And like the local shop owner that has been doing this for the past 30 years has no idea what the fuck Facebook is. So that doesn't help. So you need to have an online community, like,
I agree,
if you're going to be into this.
Absolutely. And we just
got
to really
prayer hand emoji.
What's this?
The prayer
hand emoji.
Oh, okay, yeah. We just got a really interesting comment here from Connie Goodspeed. She says, starting something new is admirable in every sense. As a parent of an entrepreneur, it's more of an "are you okay" question than a disrespect. So like, going back to what you were saying about, hey, how are you making money? Or hey, those questions. In that light of "are you okay," I mean, how does that resonate with you, Jill, if you were to be asked that?
I feel like if it's framed that way, but it rarely is. No offense, Connie. I mean, anytime I've been asked that, it's never been to be like, I'm sure it's coming from the best place. I'm sure it's coming from a loving, supportive place. But words matter, right? Like how you say things matter. And so, and you can't control how someone's going to receive something, and you can't control how they're going to hear something. But just saying like a little check-in, like, I'm asking this because I care and I just want to make sure you're all good. That's so much better than like, how
are you doing?
How are you really doing though? Or like, how are you actually going to make money? Or why are you still working? Like all of those things, they subtly undermine what we're trying to do. And I understand that moms and dads and family members, they want nothing but the best for us, but the phrasing and the positioning around those questions matter.
Or like,
especially
I can get you a job.
Yes. Like, let me introduce you to someone who can get you a real job. Like
a real job, not just a job.
I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
So much truth.
So what you just said though, like the words definitely matter. And I know for myself, even if I'm asked if I'm okay in a moment of tumult when I don't know how I'm making, you know, my next paycheck, but I'm building an awesome community and I feel good and on one hand, and on the other hand, I don't. Like it's just, it's interesting to it's like we're our own little bubble, I think. The entrepreneur sphere.
Totally. Totally. I can't even name one 9-to-5er I hang out with. Like I have girlfriends from university and some that I really love still, but like my conversations are never as interesting to me or as in depth to me as when I'm talking to entrepreneurs, because how do you have conversations on the same page when someone has been doing something for 20 years and they're like, yeah, it's just what I do. And then you're like, well, here I am making the world a better place and like massively going outside of my comfort zone and, you know, fueling the economy because I'm hiring a team and I'm changing the game and all of this kind of stuff. Like, how do you talk to someone who's kept the same job for 20 years and they're just like, ugh, I'm just doing it for a paycheck. I'm like, where's the meaning in that?
Oh my God. Yeah, that kills me. I get so disconnected. I'm doing the opposite of that. I'm completely on the opposite side of that. So I don't know how to relate to that. I won't do that. Like that was my first choice. Like, I will not do that. I don't know what, like before I knew anything else, I was like, that's what I'm not doing. That's as much as I knew.
I know one thing. I am not doing that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man.
It's like dying before you actually die.
Exactly.
Well, your soul just dying a bit.
Yeah.
And I know that no 9-to-5er wants to hear it, but it's true. So just keeping it real. Yeah.
It happens. You know, like we said at the beginning of the show, if that one job fires you, that's all you got, right? So you're literally putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Or what happens if you get downsized or your hours cut or, like, you know, you're at the mercy of that.
You don't get your $2 or $2 an hour raise, right?
Or you get your vacation taken away or you don't get paid for overtime. Like,
or layoffs, corporate layoffs. Everybody loves that.
Right? Yeah.
It's just like, so to wrap up, I feel like I would really like to ask some more kind of fun questions that are, you know, not really relevant to anything that we've talked about so far. So great. If you could throw any parade for a reason, where would it be and why? And like, what would it include?
I think Thailand, because that's the place I've seen the most parades.
Okay.
And they all get so involved. So that would be fun. And there's water fights involved. What would it be for? Entrepreneurs Day.
Yes.
Like, dun, 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 tooting our own horns. Like, look at us.
The day of screw.
Yeah.
The screw parade.
The 1 day screw.
Screw you parade.
The one day screw. The full day screw.
That was about to say the all day screw.
The all day screw. A 24-hour long screw. And what was the other question? Where would it be? What would it be for?
And yeah, like what would it include? So a water fight, you said.
Water fights for sure.
Yeah, water fights.
Probably drinks.
Drinks?
No, definitely drinks. And fireworks.
Fireworks.
Okay.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Do they have sweet fireworks in Thailand?
Yeah. Like I actually felt like I was living in a war zone on New Year's Eve because people just shoot off fireworks on the street. Like outside of my apartment building, there were fireworks like 50 feet from us, maybe, to the point that I recorded a video and all you hear is us screaming when they're coming super close. You're like, ah! Because they're coming towards your balcony. But they have a lot of paper lanterns there too. So I'd probably do that as well because those are super cool to see in the sky when you see all the paper lanterns being let off.
I've only seen those in pictures and like videos, but I love those.
Oh, they look sick. They're really cool to see. And we went to this festival called Iping, and it's the Lantern Festival. And at like 9 p.m. or whatever, my parents were there, my friends were there, and then all the people we were living around in Thailand. And there's like thousands of people who let off thousands upon thousands of paper lanterns. It's like unlike anything you've ever seen. And it continues the whole weekend. Oh, it was super cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Kind of feel like I need to Google buying one of those now. Get myself some lanterns for the 4th of July.
Yeah, I have it as one of my cover photos on my Facebook page or Facebook profile. Just like a cool shot of all the lanterns in the sky. Oh, it was a night to remember.
That was actually, you were there, and that's I know the photo you're talking about. You took that?
Well, like someone took it for us because we were lighting off a lantern. Unless I'm like,
there you go.
the
super
Is that another side
stick.
business? Like how to take master selfies?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Too funny.
Yeah. So second question, what class would you teach if it was not entrepreneurship? To like grade school kids. Sorry, like not in the online community, but.
It would probably be something around like, I don't know, like I got really bullied in school. So I would really want to carry around that message, like how to kind of bounce back from that, how to deal with that. That is a huge thing. Like I really want to support a smart charity around that. So I would definitely like want to educate kids around that.
Cool.
I think I would set up a class that was like almost impossible to like do the assignments and the tests and like everybody be getting like 50 or less.
That's the worst class. Like you're the meanest teacher.
No, but that's the thing. Everybody in school just gives, oh yeah, you can pass Jimmy and Johnny. Like, oh, you're great. Like they don't give you any freaking life skills. Like I want to see which kids like find ways around me setting them up for failure. Like who's gonna innovate and like
hacking.
be creative and like instead of sitting there and be like, this is unfair, the world's unfair. I was one of those kids, by the way. But that's what I would want to like at least run as a test and see, like, because I feel like kids don't get that. And then you get out of like, at least from my perspective, like, you know, got out of college and then you're just like, oh, I have to like do everything for myself now and like get groceries and like take care of myself and like pay bills and like, you know, and I just feel like we've done a really poor job. We've done a lot of babying, and I think there's only so much babying we can do before we're really creating detrimental scenarios and circumstances for our youth.
Yeah.
Consider the president. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh my God, that's kind of funny.
I mean, I'm just happy that I'm up here in peace, love, in Canada. So.
Oh, you're in Canada?
Yeah, she's in Vancouver.
I didn't know
that.
So
like, have fun with that.
I'm surprised you guys didn't notice when she was saying.
Yeah, you guys just.
When she was saying about.
A boot.
No, I did not catch that.
There we go.
God, what the hell?
Last question for the Canadian. What do you believe that everyone else thinks is crazy?
Sorry, my mom's talking in the background.
It's all good.
What do I believe that everyone thinks is crazy? Let me quick think about this. Yeah. Well, I believe that there's power in the offline. Like, I really think that people who leverage offline relationships and really take the time to meet up with their community members or their audience members offline and really humanize their business, they win. And it's not scalable, and that's why everyone thinks it's crazy, because we all want these hands-off, automated, set it and forget it businesses. But I think the ones that build the true movements are the ones who give a shit about people, put the time in, and show up.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Amen.
Per hand emojis, boys. Come on.
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
That's a slam dunk. Is this?
Oh man, yeah. No, that's.
Is this really prayer?
Well, that's a per hand emoji.
I thought it was like, what is this one? What is the one?
Right. Maybe it's the like.
No, this one's like.
So what is that? What is this one for? Like,
hands.
No.
That's raised hands emoji.
I feel like this one's like a high five.
I'm just trying to understand. I don't have the best emoji game, so I'm trying to learn. That's all.
Joe,
look it up. Look it up and let me know.
We can do an
delegation episode on emoji.
We'll get to the bottom of this.
Joe, it's all you. You go look it up.
Nah.
All right.
I'm gonna delegate that.
Yeah, I know. Hey, so where can people find you? Where can people join Screw You, join the community, all that stuff?
The easiest way to join Screw You is to head on over to joinscrewyou.com, and it's just the letter U, not like you. So joinscrewyou.com, that'll break down everything you get inside the membership. Or if you just want to hang out inside of our free community, head on over to screwcommunity.com, and that'll redirect to our new Facebook group, which is opening July 1st.
Nice.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the show with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We love the conversation. We love you. So great time.
Thanks, boys.
You're welcome, lady.
Thank you. Some real gold in this episode. I really, I'm going to go back myself and digest, because I think you nailed some of the questions, and just some of the stuff we got into was so insightful. So thanks for that.
Thanks,
yeah,
honey.
and you said it so casually, so we were kind of just like, well, I know for myself, I was just like, wait, what? Oh shit. Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
shit.
Oh shit. So guys that are still tuning in, if you want to catch the whole show, we're gonna have the link in the comments. in the next couple of hours. We know that we had some streaming issues earlier, and so that'll be resolved in the next couple of hours. You'll be able to watch the whole show. It'll be a link to YouTube. If you like the show, if you want to see more of this kind of content, more powerful entrepreneurs coming on the Reset Live show, having conversations, giving you free advice, inspiration, all that stuff, head on over to patreon.com/resetlive. That's R3SET live. And we have some incredible incentive programs. You're basically joining our community by doing that, becoming a part, communicating directly with us. And thank you guys for tuning in. Any last words we want to give to the viewers?
Next time we do it with Jill, we're doing it with wine.
Shit,
yes.
Yes.
We internally we do have a joke about showing up in a meeting hammered one time, so that could be a fun show.
Definitely do that.
Definitely do that.
We'll take action on that. Definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll execute.
All right.
I like it.
All right,
So thanks for joining us on the Reset Live show, guys. Have
Thanks,
a
dude.
good rest of your Thursday.
We'll see you next week.
Deuces.
As someone that would want to be a politician, so it's just a venue that I'm using to gain more knowledge about that system, but to help those that don't know about that system. In high school, I got involved with the Mayor's Menino Youth Council. I was a Dorchester representative, and that was the first time that I had to represent a community. In Boston Public Schools, definitely it's hard for us Cape Verdeans to succeed out there because they want to shut down a lot of the programs that help us as students that English is our second language. The system is kind of hey, we just want to get the students to graduate. Forget if they're going to go to college or not, but we need our numbers to look that we're graduating a lot of students. One of the things that I woke up to when I came to UMass, we're not the face that they're talking about doing orientation. You know what I mean? They talk about it, but they're not showing the real stuff. So to me, it was just hey, we're actually here, and we're the reason that you have this diversity, but you're not giving me the resources that I need to show my Cape Verdean culture throughout campus. And people think, oh, there's no more racism. Yes, there is. People need to start educating themselves regardless if you were affected by it, regardless if you're black or not. That's a national and international problem. You don't have to be directly affected by it. You don't have to be black. You have to be citizens of the world. Second chance. Reset means second chance to me. That's my sentence. Second chance.